Welcome back to Fox 5's On the Hill Live this Sunday morning. The Fed Reserve Chair Jerome Powell announced interest rates are going to remain the same. And he said if inflation continues to decline, that the Fed could cut rates sometime next year. Now, the stock markets, they love this news. They rallied, but with prices still high, consumers apparently aren't quite feeling the relief just yet. For more on the state of the economy, we want to welcome back David Rubenstein. He's the co-founder and the board chair of the Carlyle Group and the chair of the Washington Economic Club. He's also a New York Times best-selling author. His most recent book was How to Invest, Masters of the Craft. David Rubenstein, it's always a pleasure to have you at this table.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me back.
We seem to wrap up the year with you every year.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Talk to me about this economy from where you sit. The numbers look great, but we keep hearing from people that they're not feeling it. So what's going on here?
Well, on the first subject, I think the economy is in pretty good shape. It looks as if we've dodged a recession for the near term. The so-called soft landing is really what we're having. And many people thought with the enormous number of increases in interest rates, 11 of them, we would probably have a hard landing. But right now, the Federal Reserve Chair and others seem to think that that's not going to happen. So I think we're in pretty good shape. In terms of the people feeling it, that's a different issue. And right now, people are not feeling quite the strength of the economy that I think they will feel soon.
Do we know yet why we didn't go into recession? Because people this time last year were talking about it as a certainty that it was going to happen. The only question was going to be how severe was it, and it didn't happen.
I think people don't know yet. It'll be PhD studies will be done for many, many years. I think in the end, the markets just did not react as poorly to the increases as people expected, and consumers had a lot of pent-up demand, and they kept buying things. Maybe post-COVID, they wanted to spend more money, so the consumer demand was still there.
Now, obviously, the pandemic was something that none of us saw in our lifetime. We've all gone through that right now. As investors right now, do investors look at this economy right now as something that they're going to dive into the pool in the deep end, or are they going to wade in?
Well, if you look at the stock market this past week, obviously people were really bullish about it. As I've said many times, when economies are good and strong and markets are going up, you have to be a little bit leery because sometimes you're going to buy in at the wrong time. The best investors, when markets are going up this way, they're looking for things that are cheap and are going down. And so when markets are going down, that's maybe the time to buy. Right now, they're not going down.
One of the things we saw recently was the president of China did meet with President Biden. We are told that China is in a very different position economically than it was. You know, we were always concerned about China because, you know, they're one of our largest competitors. What is the situation over there, and should people pay attention to what goes over in China if they want to know what's going to happen here?
I was in China recently, and obviously they have some economic challenges, but Americans tend to always think the Chinese system isn't as good as ours and their economy is going to collapse, and we haven't really seen that. They have a lot of foreign reserves. They have the ability to fix things in ways we cannot. So the Chinese economy is slowing in terms of its growth, but I wouldn't say it's going to fall apart anytime soon.
On the other side of the globe, obviously, we have these conflicts underway right now, hot wars in Ukraine, and, you know, now the situation with Israel fighting against Hamas after that terror attack on October 7th. Those conflicts do not seem to have adversely affected the world economy. Why is that?
Well, originally the Ukraine conflict did, and it had some impact on oil prices and it had some impact on the economy. Right now, we've kind of assumed it's going to be going on for a while, so markets have taken into account. The Israel conflict has not really had the global effect that maybe people thought it might, but right now it hasn't because it's relatively contained in a small group of people relative to what you saw in Ukraine and Russia.
Let's look back on our area right now in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. Obviously, you know, as the head of the Economic Club of Washington, you look at issues that affect this region. Washington's always been a bit of a bubble because the government's located here. But regionally, how do you think this area is positioned moving forward?
Well, because the federal government is always going to be expanding, the federal government doesn't seem to be shrinking, even though from time to time we try to cut the budget. Realistically, it's going to expand. And therefore, I think the Washington area is always going to be somewhat different than the rest of the country. So I think Virginia, Maryland are in pretty good shape. The district has some challenges now, but I do think that Maryland and Virginia are in pretty good shape, relatively speaking.
Speaking of Maryland, I got to ask you about, this is going to be no surprise, the news that you've been in the headlines of recently is a possible interest in the Baltimore Orioles. I think I asked you about this maybe 5 years ago, and you said you liked baseball, but do you like baseball now enough that you might be buying the Baltimore Orioles?
Well, I would just say when I was a little leaguer, I was a good player, but I realized I peaked in my athletic skills at 11 or 12, and so I really I liked baseball, but I don't think I really have the ability to play so well as I would like to. So that's about all I can say.
You can't say whether or not you'd be interested in purchasing the franchise yet?
I cannot say anything more than I was a good Little League player, and someday I hope to be a better fan than I have been in the past.
Let me ask you about some other teams then. Obviously,
Okay.
we had this big story in Virginia. Your former employee, Governor Glenn Youngkin in Virginia,
Right.
now is announcing a stadium arena for the Capitals and the Washington Wizards. The arena downtown has been a key economic driver since 1997. What's going to happen to D.C. if that arena moves out?
Well, it's not a plus for D.C. for sure. Now, the move will take a couple years because it's going to take 3 or 4 years to build that new arena. I think it's a coup for Virginia and coup for Ted Leonsis and really for Governor Youngkin as well. The district is going to have to look at what it's going to do with that area. But again, that arena will still be there, and it's going to be there with the teams for the next couple years. So they've got a couple years to figure it out.
Could this be an opportunity for the district?
Whenever there's a challenge, there's an opportunity. And so I think it's a chance to really say, okay, what have we done that hasn't worked out, and what can we do better?
David Rubenstein, the chair of the Carlyle Group, co-chair of the Carlyle Group, and the Washington Economic Club. We appreciate you joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Share some insight into what might be ahead this year.
Okay.
We'll bring
Thank
a
you.
crystal ball next time, I guess.
Okay. Bye.
Well,